Kosi watched from the hostel window as the three girls were dropped off. Each one of them came out from the front seat of different cars as a man stood there opening the door of the car for them. Then, they each were hugged by the men with some kiss planted on their forehead. They were soon outside the fence of the dormitory. They climbed the fence, jumped inside, and headed straight into their hostel. The next day was Saturday. The girls were to go to the school salon to make their hair. It was a large salon that had different stylists working in it. But before any girl entered the salon, the three queens must first go and make their hair. They paid the hairstylist extra money to concentrate on only but their hair. The whole school waited until they were done with their hair. After they were done, then the other girls would go and make their hair. But Kosi was from a poor background. She attended St. Georgina's prestigious boarding school, which was an all-girls boarding school because of the scholarship she got. She and Nkechi were the only two girls who won Madam Margaret's prestigious scholarship. That was what gave them the chance to be at St. Georgina's. Hair grooming at St. Georgina's incurred an extra expenses. She and her friend Nkechi made simple weaving styles for each other. They could not afford the luxury of the school salon because the pocket money they received from their parents was barely enough for them. They were soon done with their hair. They left the lobby and went straight into their hostel and settled down. But Sandra, Jennifer and Mona Lisa could not hold their laughter. Just take a look at them. Ugly monkeys. They don't understand that beauty is money. Some other students also joined with them at their laughter. At the ending side of the dormitory stood their corner. The beddings were the finest beds in the whole of St. Georgina's. Their corners were finely decorated with flowers. As they sat there at their corner with crossed legs, there in front of them were packs of milky popcorn with some smoothies. Kosi and Nkechi walked briskly past them, but just as they passed, Kosi stumbled and fell down, mistakenly pouring away their smoothie. I'm sorry, she muttered as she stood in front of them, trembling. You poor thing, Mona Lisa sneered. Have you ever seen a smoothie all your life? You have to pay for it, and this is 10,000 naira. Kosi opened her mouth in astonishment. I can't afford that huge sum, she said. If you know you can't afford it, then better watch the way you walk. After apologizing profusely, she let Kosi go. The next day, in class, as Kosi read her books, Mona Lisa came towards her, sparking up a conversation. You are studying hard, aren't you? She began. Yes, of course, replied Kosi. Well. We have an outing next week, and if you will come along with us, then we'll accept you as one of us. Most girls are looking for this opportunity to belong, but I felt drawn to you out of pity. Kosi looked at her, then shrugged and said, Party? Where? Are you the only girl in St. Georgina's that does not know that the three partying princesses always leave for their party on Saturdays? Whether the school regulation accepts it or not, our parents are influential. As you know, and here at St. Georgina's, we make the rules. Even the chief security officer is at our service. Kosi nodded understandably. She had always admired the three girls. They are so gorgeous and their parents are rich too. Okay, came her reply, her voice slightly trembling. That night, Mona Lisa sent one of the students to take some grilled catfish and smoothie to her corner. Kosi ate it happily. So this is what these girls used to enjoy, she said aloud to herself as she licked her hands after eating. Mona Lisa's father is a politician, while both Sandra and Jennifer's father were honorable members of the House of Representatives. That fateful Saturday night was the first time Kosi joined them for their party. As she prepared for the Saturday night out with the girls, her friend Nkechi caught up with her after she came back from the salon. Kosi, you now make your hair at the school salon? Nkechi asked. Yes, replied Kosi, her voice audacious and firm. I thought we agreed to be making each other's hair, Nkechi continued. Yes, that was before. Levels have changed. including previous agreements. But Kosi, Nkechi said persuasively, don't you think becoming friends with these girls is risky? It might get you into trouble. Trouble? Asked Kosi. I've been in this school for more than a year now, and the three parting princesses have never gotten into trouble. Do you think I'm not using my head? Kosi continued. They are the who is who in this school, and are above the law. If I join them, I also will be above the law. Nkechi was left to herself. No one agreed to make her hair for her. As for Kosi, she now makes her hair, specially with the three parting princesses. For the first time since she entered St. Georgina's prestigious school, Kosi felt among. Kosi was a slim, tall, and brown-skinned girl. She soon fitted in with the girls as they taught her how to catwalk, talk smoothly, and gesture with her body while talking. You need to master these skills, especially knowing that you are joining us to go out for clubbing. The impression you give the men will tell how much of gifts and money they will be willing to part with you. Finally, it was Saturday night. Jennifer, Sandra, and Mona Lisa were close to the school fence, along with their new friend, Kosi. They went to the side of the fence with the shortest height and climbed on. Soon, they were outside the school walls. Jennifer brought out her phone and made some calls. Soon, a very flashy car pulled over to where they stood. A very handsome young man came out of the car and gave Jennifer a hug. He kissed her on her forehead, saying, "See my baby, oh, I've missed you so much." Then he opened the front door for her, while Mona Lisa, Sandra, and Kosi sat at the back seat. He drove them straight to his house. The mansion was a sight to behold, with its grand entrance, manicured gardens, and a swimming pool that sparkled under the moon. The interior was just as impressive, with modern decor, state-of-the-art amenities, and a spacious living area that could easily accommodate a small party. As they entered inside, Kosi gasped under her breath. She tried so hard to catch her breath at the lavish riches the environment exhumed. The sound of the soft music from the DJ and the complementing disco lights left Kosi in awe. As soon as the girls entered, both Sandra and Mona Lisa went straight to embrace their own boyfriends, Ifeanyi and Chidi. Kosi stood at the sitting room, awkwardly, looking at the girls. This was exactly what her mother warned her against when she won the scholarship. Avoid men and concentrate on your studies. The only but a distraction. She looked at the three girls as they kissed their boyfriends passionately and shamelessly. Come on, girl, Mona Lisa said. Loosen up a bit. Life is not all about books. You have to catch fun and enjoy. Kosi stood there, speechless, as she watched the ease with which the girls flung themselves on the men. As she wondered at the freedom with which the girls kissed the men, she remembered her mother's advice. Keep men at arm's length so that you can become useful to yourself. But these girls have never gotten pregnant, despite being free with men. As she thought about this, a man came to meet her. He was tall, handsome. His aura didn't go unnoticed. Hey, fine angel. How are you doing? Can I keep you company? Kosi's heart skipped a beat. I'm fine, sir. Thank you, she replied. He sat down there as he introduced himself. My name is Ekene, he said with a warm smile. May I know your name? My name is Kosi, Kosi said shyly. I like you. You look so very beautiful, like an angel, Ekene continued. Soon, the other three girls arrived with their glasses of whiskey on their hands. Hey, Kosi, they said. Hope you're catching on. You didn't take your drink. Holy girl, you have to learn how to be a big girl now. Before the girls left, they had a lot of gifts from their boyfriends, clothes, money, and some gadgets. Soon, the girls were outside the school fence. They jumped over and entered their hostel. Kosi too was given a new iPhone by Ekene. Take this phone, my angel, and also this money. Do not hesitate to call me whenever you need me. Kosi was so happy. She had never used an Android phone before, and here she was with an iPhone. She indeed has become one of the happening girls of St. Georgina's. Back at school, Kosi continued to call Mr. Ekene every day. When other girls are out of the hostel, the three partying princesses will put on their gadgets and begin to call their boyfriends. Kosi too will call Mr. Ekene. Mr. Ekene, on the other hand, will call her, praising her and calling her many sweet names. Kosi was indeed happy to have belonged. She now walks amongst the happening girls of the campus and have left Nkechi behind. By their next outing, they were in the same venue with their different boyfriends. Each of the girls entered the different rooms with their boyfriends, leaving Kosi and Mr. Kene. As Mr. Kene came forward to touch Kosi, but she protested, saying, "I can't do this. My mother had warned me against it." "Then why are you here?" said Mr. Kene. "Give me the iPhone I gave you," he said angrily as he shoved her aside. When her friends returned, Mr. Kene talked with them, saying, "Bring me a girl that knows what's up. I don't need these local girls who will come here to waste my time." When the girls arrived their hostel that day, they talked to Kosi, saying, "Look at how you have missed your opportunity to become a big girl. Why are you so childish? Your mother said, your mother said. Does it look like we don't have mothers? Is your mother here with you in school?" But what if I get pregnant?" Kosi asked. "There is nothing like that. And besides, we have drugs that can easily flush away that pregnancy." Finally, Kosi made up her mind. She wanted to be a big girl. After all, Mr. Kene had promised even to marry her after her high school. Kosi threw herself at Mr. Kene with reckless abandon. Every Saturday, she will go to their usual meeting place and they will eat and drink with their boyfriends. They will also sleep together with their boyfriends before going back to the hostel. Soon, it became a norm for Kosi to abort her pregnancies each time she became pregnant. As months progressed, Kosi became totally distracted from her studies. She moved from her position at the top of the class to having poor grades and results. She always feels weak in her body. She always feels like fainting most of the times. On one of the weekends, they had sneaked out as usual. They danced, ate, and drank as usual. After Kosi came back, she found out that her period was not forthcoming for some weeks now. She tested herself with the pregnancy kit they had in the hostel. She was positive for the pregnancy test. She went straight to take the abortion pills she had always taken, expecting the pregnancy to flush out as usual. But to her greatest amazement, the pregnancy was still there. She took even some more of the pills, and yet nothing happened. Kosi was in a dilemma. She did not know what to do. She quickly told her friends, Sandra, Jennifer, and Mona Lisa. The two could not help her. "But why are your things always different? We always take care of our things since we started working our lives in the streets. You just joined 6 months ago, and you want to put us into trouble." After they said this to her, they stopped coming around her, avoiding her like a plague. Her stomach was now beginning to bulge as her pregnancy has passed 3 months now. One Saturday night, Kosi was at Mr. Ekene's place. She went out all by herself. Since a month ago, Mr. Ekene learnt that Kosi was pregnant. He had refused to pick her calls. She went to visit him in the place she had always known to be his house. She knocked at the gate, fully prepared to face him. To her greatest amazement, a very beautiful, elegantly dressed woman opened the gate. "I'm looking for Mr. Ekene," Kosi said, her heart racing up and down. "Oh, he drove my husband out," replied Madame Loretta. "Can I wait for him?" asked Kosi. "And who are you?" asked Madame Loretta. "I'm his girlfriend." Madame Loretta let out a laughter and then clasped her hands together and asked her, saying, "His girlfriend, or one of his girlfriends?" Kosi was baffled. Her heart began to race even more. "I can't go back, ma'am. I'm pregnant for him." What? For a married man whose wife and children are in the village. But Mr. Kene had always claimed that this is his house, Kosi said, and both her hands and legs continued to tremble. "Young lady, Listen very well, Madam Loretta said. Ekene is our driver. We just traveled on a vacation for 6 months. That is why he began fooling around with women, claiming that this place is his house. Apart from his wife and children who are in the village, you are the third lady who has come here to claim that you are pregnant for him. Kosi was dumbfounded. She sat on the floor and put her hands on her head as she sobbed, cried and wailed. Stop, my dear. Do you have a mother? Madam Loretta asked. Yes, Kosi replied. If you know what is good for you, you go back to your mother, Madam Loretta advised. Kosi was left all to herself, her mother's advice staring at her face. She did not know what to do, whether to go back to her mother in the village or to go back to the hostel. She could not think, but all she remembered was that the money she had is not enough to travel back to the village. Even if she had enough money, can she face her mother after throwing away her advice? She soon decided to go back to the hostel and find a solution. She arrived at the hostel, climbing through the school fence as usual. As she laid down on her bed, Kosi thought about many things. If the school authority finds out that she's pregnant, they will expel her in a disgraceful manner. But facing her mother is something she cannot do. That night, she slipped to Mona Lisa's corner, kneeling down to beg her. She begged her to take her to an abortionist. Mona Lisa refused at first, but because of the way she cried and begged her, Mona Lisa agreed to help. The next Saturday night, both of them climbed the school fence as usual. Outside the school premises, they went to a quack doctor who performed abortion using sharp instruments to pull fetus out of the womb. This your pregnancy is now 4 months, the quack doctor said. This process is very risky and is even more riskier at this stage, he continued. The two girls pleaded with the doctor, and after much persuasion, the quack doctor decided to perform the abortion. Before daybreak, the abortion had been concluded as the two girls went back into the hostel. Just as they were about to enter through the hostel connecting gate, Kosi slumped there outside the hostel. She was bleeding profusely. Some students who saw her raised an alarm. The school authority were alerted. They quickly came over and rushed Kosi to the hospital. There at the hospital, Kosi's parents were alerted. The doctors tried all their best to save Kosi's life, carrying out multiple surgery on her bleeding womb, but it was too late. Kosi died on the operating table, having lost a lot of blood. This story teaches young girls to calm down and focus on their studies. Listen to your mother's advice as a young girl. Avoid bad friends that tells you to throw away the good advice you have gotten from your parents. If by any means you fall short, do not hesitate to go back to your parents. It is better that your parents scold you for a moment than getting solutions on your own that can take your life. If you love this story, please do well to give it a thumbs up, comment, and kindly subscribe as we load you with lots of amazing tales at African Tales by Amanda.